Started here. Hello, I am Ajit Kumar Jha, and I'm the CEO and editor-in-chief of Power Pixar channel. And today, since 5th of November is American presidential election, we thought we'll focus once more on the presidential campaigns that are going on. Until now, we have already made three such programs on American presidential elections, one in Hindi and two in English. We've covered Kamala Harris's campaign. We've covered the fact that how popular votes are not the way to win American elections, but uh, the electoral college advantage, what we call the swing states or the battleground states, which number between 7 to 10. And the third we did is how women prefer Kamala Harris much more. So there is a gender gap favoring Kamala Harris in the campaign, whereas male voters, especially white males who have not gone to college, are supporting President Trump. Now, these three aspects we had covered. Today, we will basically focus on Donald Trump's campaign, former President Donald Trump. How has he been carrying on his campaign? How has he been faring? Is he losing the advantage he had over Kamala Harris? So let's go back to the events of last Sunday in Madison Square, New York. President Trump was holding a rally there. It was supposed to bring enormous amount of advantage to Trump. In fact, Trump, before the rally, almost about, let's say, a week to some people say 2 weeks, some assessors say 1 week, Trump had climbed over Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, who otherwise, from the time that she entered the race, the way she had sort of, campaigned along with the Democratic Party behind her, she had actually started beating Trump, at least in the popularity ratings. Her personal polling rates done by all kinds of agencies showed at least a few points, between 2 to 3 points, 4 points advantages over Trump, although one has to admit this has been a very tight race. But Harris had the advantage. But something happened during the Madison Square rally of President Donald Trump. What exactly happened? Before President Trump spoke in the rally, a comedian called Hinchcliffe, he came and started speaking. And in that, he used a racist phrase against Puerto Ricans. He called them a pile of garbage. Now, that is absolutely not done. This is the worst kind of racist statement that anyone can make. And it seems to be what they were saying, the October surprise, that President Trump, who until then had a small advantage over Kamala Harris, began losing that. And and what has happened? What went wrong? Once the statement was made, the Puerto Rican community and the rest of the Latino voters, which, by the way, there are more Latino voters in America today than black voters. So the Latino community is very important. In fact, after the white community, the number two are the Latino community. The third are the black voters. So the Latino community, they started sort of moving away. There has been a swift reaction against President Trump. And how do we know that? What were the visible symbols of that? Famous Latino, Puerto Rican musicians, uh, you know, Hollywood celebrities, rappers, they have begun endorsing Kamala Harris right after the Madison Square event. Let's name a few. Of course, there are many of them, but let's take the most popular rapper, Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny has been probably one of the most popular Latino Puerto Rican rapper. In fact, he has almost 45.6 million Instagram followers. I mean, that makes him perhaps the top, the top two, top three rapper in the world. And he ended up, after this terrible statement by Hinchcliffe, he ended up endorsing Kamala Harris. Next was Luis Fonsi, another very popular musician, Puerto Rican. Uh, Third, Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez has something like 250 million followers. All of you know Jennifer Lopez. She's an extraordinary singer. She is a very famous actress. She has come all kinds of movies. Made in Manhattan. Many of you might have seen that. You have Jennifer Lopez in that. One can name several movies. So Jennifer Lopez is now endorsing Kamala Harris, and this has started changing the advantage that Trump had over Kamala Harris into a serious disadvantage. It is Kamala Harris' advantage now, especially among Latino voters. Now, someone might point out that Latino voters were anyway sort of preferring Kamala Harris over Trump. The same thing with black voters. More black voters were preferring Kamala Harris over Trump. But the numbers of male Latino voters, the number of black male voters supporting Kamala Harris was not as high as number of black male voters, number of black Latino voters supporting Biden when he was contesting against Trump in the year 2020. And that's how Joe Biden had beaten Trump. Now, the assessment was by the Democrats that in order to beat Trump in the battleground states, Kamala Harris needs to score among black voters, especially black male voters, because black females were supporting Kamala Harris anyway. She had the gender advantage. Among women voters, whites, blacks, Latinos, Asians, and others, Kamala Harris has a massive advantage. In fact, several people who feel that Kamala Harris is sure to win, they argue that she is going to win because of the tsunami of women voters. But the trouble is that it's not popular vote that counts. What counts is the number of delegates in the battleground states. So, in the battleground states, somehow, President Trump was either equal or ahead of Kamala Harris, and especially take the largest state, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has 19 delegates, which is the highest among all the battleground states. Now, in order to win Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris needs that extra bounce among Latino voters, including Puerto Rican voters. And that's exactly what has happened after this Madison Square incident. Suddenly, an entire sort of balance is changing in favor of Kamala Harris. Now, it's not only among Latino voters, and it's not only, the endorsement is not only coming from Latino musicians, Latino rappers, Puerto Rican rappers. If you look at the other popular symbols, the other cultural icons of America, Kamala Harris has a massive advantage. In fact, recently, Kamala Harris has been campaigning with Rihanna, with Beyonce. In fact, um the last week's campaign, the highlight is on one side Kamala Harris, on the other side Michelle Obama, and on the third is Beyonce, and they have campaigned not only endorsement, but not only a ringing endorsement, but a massive campaign for Kamala Harris. Not only Beyonce, but Rihanna, other famous uh, sort of musicians, John Legend, Lil Jon, Maren Morris, and several others. So, among musicians as such, there is a lot of popularity. Hollywood stars, for example, uh, if you Taylor Swift, for example, if you remember a few weeks ago, Taylor Swift switched sides, endorsed Kamala Harris. Now, Taylor Swift again is probably the most popular singer in America today, perhaps in the world. Uh, so so all popular icons have now started shifting towards Kamala Harris. And other than that, if you look at the campaign that President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, all have been campaigning. And by the way, these are extraordinary speakers. So the way they have been campaigning for Kamala Harris, it seems that the entire balance, the 50-50 kind of tight race, has started shifting in favor of Kamala Harris. On the fifth is polling, barely 5 or 6 days left. If this continues, Kamala Harris is going to be the next president. Now, the interesting question before we end this video is who are these people who support President Trump? Are they merely white, male, those who have not gone to college, working class, what sometimes is referred to as the white trash voters? Are they purely supporting Kamala Harris on the issue of racism, or is there something else? What is it that kept Trump until recently? And remember, Trump. I mean, Trump has faced so many allegations. In fact, in the campaign, in the middle of the campaign, about let's say about a week ago, several important people have started calling him a fascist, including some of the people who were advising him when he was the president of United States. So, is he a fascist? Is uh, is is his popularity? Where does his popularity come from, other than racial identity? Uh, I think an important question, a very important question. One of the reasons is the long-term deindustrialization of America. When the emerging economies like China, India, Latin America, East Asia, when they started growing, lots of industries from the US started shifting across the border to Mexico, to China, to several of the other countries, some of them even to India, especially, for example, in the IT industry. As a result of which, lot of the white working class became unemployed. Now, the interesting question is, why is this white working class in favor of President Trump when Trump is supposed to be a total right winger who actually favors his friends and cronies who are corporates, who are billionaires? Why is it that he still gets the white working class vote? And the simple answer is because the incumbent today is Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris, although she was the vice president, but she also becomes incumbent. And if the economy is not doing very well, inflation is very high, public debt is very high, unemployment, although unemployment has started dipping a little, even inflation has started coming down a bit, but it is still very high. Families are struggling to meet both ends, especially the poor people, those without jobs, especially the whites who have lost their jobs, who were at one time privileged, but who have lost their jobs. Now, they somehow blame the administration of Joe Biden, they blame the incumbent, and therefore they blame Kamala Harris. They argue that under Trump, their economic situation was much better off compared to today. Now, there is a reason for it. The reason, of course, is that President Trump, when he came, the economy was much better than today. And what is the reason? President Obama, during his campaign, points out that the main reason is President Barack Obama himself. He said he had inherited a completely sort of recessionary situation from the previous Republicans, especially because of the 2007 2008 economic crisis. And he had worked on that to transform it into a better situation. He claimed that he gave, when Trump came to power, President Obama had given him 75 months consecutively of job creation and lowering of inflation and transforming of the economy. So therefore, when Trump came, he ended up inheriting, a much better economy. However, during that transition period, we also had the famous pandemic, and that kind of ended up having a negative effect on the economy, which we felt when Biden came to power. When Biden came to power, he inherited both the pandemic and the negative effects of the economic crisis that had started in 2007 2008. So the economy is still hurting, although several attempts have been made by Biden and Kamala Harris to bring it to a level which is sustainable. But that is still a very important issue. And because of that, the anti incumbency vote ends up going towards Trump. In this case, as I pointed out, it happens to be the white male voters who have not gone to college, who basically come from the working class. So the economic factor in America, the phrase used is, it's the economy stupid. That goes in favor of Trump. The other issue that we will discuss in another next another video blog post will be immigration. That also kind of at this moment favors Trump, but issues like abortion, the Roe versus Wade, how that has stopped, for example, made abortion illegal in 20 states where women don't have the right to decide about their reproductive organs. That is one of the big agenda that Kamala Harris is contesting on. And therefore, on that agenda, Kamala Harris has the advantage. But as I said, the balance was going up and down for a while. But since Madison Square, the balance has has begun nosediving for President Trump and in favor of Kamala Harris. If nothing else changes between now and 5th of November, I think we will see a serious advantage for Kamala Harris in the popular votes and also in the battleground states. We'll make more such video blog posts and we will keep tracking it till the last moment. The campaign is still going on, but at this moment, Kamala Harris has regained the advantage that she had initially built up. Thank you very much, and wait for our next video blog post on the US presidential elections. Thank you. End.